Let's get started, friends. Yeah, just a little bit of background about myself, friends. I don't want to take too much of my time. So my name is Ashok. I have about 22 years of experience in IT, and so I've worked in application programming, C++, predominantly in C++, and later on onto Java. And I've been a, you know, I was a manager for a few years in especially in the front end technologies and uh, web development and things like that, and also on Java. And the last 3 4 years, I've been actively onto big data, and I've served as an architect for a couple of startup companies, especially in the uh, data area, because I do product consulting. Plus, I've been an educator and in big data and analytics. So I'm supremely excited to be part of this forum, and I'm looking forward to have a good discussion with all of you, friends. Um, that's me. So let's move on. I'm calling from Chennai. I'm joining from Chennai. So the webinar, it says it has reached the maximum number. Okay, so it's like 101 attendees is what I'm. There are about 100 people, friends. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So, friends, I just want to set a brief expectation here. The thing is, I definitely look forward to have a meaningful discussion with all of you. And at the same time, it's I cannot be answering all the questions. I encourage you to definitely send your questions. If it is not answered also, please feel free to send your questions to Edureka. I encourage you that, right? So hope you understand this situation, friends, right? So this session is being recorded. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yeah. All right. So let's get started, friends. Without further ado, I have a very small presentation deck. It's predominantly, it's your session, so not to worry about that. So just a minute. Let's talk about this career path and interview questions. So I can take myself as an example, friends. So I had worked in diverse technologies prior to jumping into big data. So it's just it takes that attitude and motivation to just jump in, because this is a very happening industry. So I'm sure I always believe that when I can do it, right, you all can do it. So that's I can definitely say that with a lot of conviction here. So let's get started. Hadoop job market, what will you learn today? Career paths for testing professionals, mainframe software developers, database administrators, Linux, how to get job. Okay, I mean, definitely, I can share some insights, but here. Job trends, if you look at the graph, it's just going up, friends. Percentage of matching job profiles, right? It's just a it's a ballistic curve. It's a ballistic curve, and I don't think I need to really emphasize here. It is pretty good, right? It's pretty good. So it is only going to grow, and the one very common adage which I keep mentioning in every class is like more data, more the data, merrier it's going to be, right? The more and more data you have. And today we are talking about those 4 V's and all those stuff, right? I mean, as a big data definition. So one of the V's is volume, velocity, and all that stuff. So I don't want to go in there, but what my point is, the data, we are going to get it from varieties of devices, right? Whether it is sensors or MRI or cat. You look at any industry, friends, look at any industry, big data is going to be a huge, it's going to play a very dominant role there. Look at any industry, any domain, right? It's going to play a very big role, even when it comes to analytics, right? And wherever you have data, you need to analyze, and analytics will be there, right? So these two guys, complement each other, correct? And we it's the same even with IoT, all those things, right? So it's going to be pretty what to say, more and more data will be far more prevalent. And to the point, people say that the um, I mean, people believe in only two things, right? One is the parents, and next is the data. they say it as a joke, but it's true. Anything backed by strong data, it always carries a weightage, correct? So what I'm saying is, more and more data is going to come, and that is going to really, propel the number of jobs, right? So, okay. Filled job versus unfilled jobs in big data. Look at it. Data scientist, data visualizer. I mean, there are umpteen jobs here. Big data research analyst, big data engineer, big data architect, big data analyst, right? There are various flavors, friends. So definitely there is more demand than supply. That's why, people are definitely getting into big data, right? So let me, can I request one thing, friends? There are already a few questions I'm seeing. So can I, let me just finish this deck. It doesn't have too many slides. It's not like a 50 slide deck. It's just about 15 or 1.5, right? Let me finish this and I'll take your questions because, this is your session. As I said, internet is filled with questions and comments where people ask about how they can change their career from big data Hadoop. Is it worth doing, right? Still have a doubt. So friends, as I said, it is it just takes you a bit of, it takes a change in your attitude mindset, and you need to just jump into this bandwagon, right? It is not impossible, I'm telling you. It's like, anybody can, because we think that, this is an alien domain, big data as such, but there are a lot of connections to what you have been doing presently, so which I'm going to touch upon in a while, right? So get rid of your doubt. We say that, this is like a, bringing more positivity into our minds. If you're not working, then that's where the doubt comes in, right? This is a very philosophical statement to make, right? And Hadoop, look at this, software testing. In fact, I've heard this from some of the classroom in some online sessions as well. Couple of people actually, they joined. They are actually QA people. They they were part of the class, and they had bit of struggle to start with. Then, the fact is, it's just the way, they tune themselves, right? Because big data is not about Java. People, there is a notion that, big data, if you're going to learn Hadoop, it's all Java, it's going to be program, it's going to be, there are lots of areas, lots of domains which we are here to discuss. So look at it. I don't find it challenging, interesting. Now I want to go as a developer. Will it be a good move? Can I get a job? Okay. See, let me answer this question. Okay. Let me answer all the questions which are here. Then I will take your questions, right? I mean, from here, it's all about, some of the questions posted by, some people earlier, right? So first thing, QA, right? I mean, or customer quality, we call it CQ or quality assurance, whatever you want to call it. It's not like end of the road for them to becoming a developer, right? They can, right? But let me tell you one more thing. If CQ has been your forte, don't try to completely, shortchange the whole thing, right? If CQ has been your, I mean, the quality domain has been your forte, there are so many things associated with quality in big data. So many things in big data, right? For example, if you look at data quality, right, that's one of the huge domains that's having lots and lots of prominence, and it is going to get much more prominence, as we move along. Why I'm saying this is, look at 30% of the company, friends. This is a proven statistics. 30% of the companies today, they have been they have been reported for fraud. Okay, this was in 2014, right? This is like lots and lots of companies, right? Why I'm saying this data quality, it's going to, they will get into the governance, all those things, right? That's a pretty related area for CQ professionals, because you will get into auditing, you will go by the governance model, all those things, right? So there is a continuity to what you're doing, and somebody has a aptitude for, to become a developer, for example Java developer, right? Or a big data developer, because big data doesn't consist only of Java, right? You can get into pig, you can get into hive, you can get into spark, storm, scala. There are so many other flavors as well, right? Somebody has that aptitude for to become a developer, if somebody is extremely passionate, nobody can say a no here, right? You can definitely, maybe do a, some course if required, or if you can showcase those skills, right, your programming skills in a way, definitely yes. Because a lot of people may have, I'll also tell you one perspective, friends. There are a lot of people I know very strong in programming, but when they take up positions in corporate organizations, right, so they are taken into the, they are all hired as trainees, or uh, when they are hired through campus, they come in, and they're just, they are they are allocated into CQ, they randomly they are given. And these guys, being, the first time job, right, they don't want to mess up with the company, so they just take up positions and they grow into that. But let me tell you, I used to work for a product company, right? The line between the CQ and the development, product development, was pretty thin. The CQ guys knew enough programming to challenge us, and we knew enough testing to challenge them as well. So it was a fine balance, right? So what I'm saying is, somebody with that aptitude, right, they can always go back into a Hadoop developer. That's possible, correct? So I'm saying, maybe data quality could be one of the moves here, or can be a, Hadoop developer also is possible. Nothing can stop here. Um, I have decided to let me, there is a person from mainframe here, right? Mainframe to Hadoop. How do I prove myself in interviews since I don't have any Hadoop experience? Will I be able to get a job? So friends, this is a very blanket question, right? I mean, if I'm from mainframe, because people always say, let me tell you from a very practical sense, right? It's like, if I've been a, I've been an expert in, let's say, Visual C++ using Microsoft Foundation class. That was my area when I was programming way back, right? So when I go with this, of course, I have the programming background. Of course, today it's more Java is more ubiquitous, right? It's fairly well spread with the open source and all that. So I had to get baptized with some of the Java things, right? Because I wanted to pick up this big data. Just believe me, like 4 years back, I didn't know much of big data. So, but I definitely wanted to take a plunge, right? So I used my, definitely my experience into the technologies, and I leveraged on those skills for sure. It is not like, all those things were like wasted. No. But similarly, mainframe, right? I mean, you cannot definitely, just go and take a plunge just like that. You need to learn some things, right? And if you're a mainframe, you may not know the recent technologies like such as C++ or any of these object-oriented technologies. Probably not there. But mainframe itself, I'm not qualified to talk about mainframe much, but I can tell you mainframe itself has various things. I know people have worked in Kix, DB2, correct me if I'm wrong, friends. The mainframe from the database angle, right? They can get into, some of the NoSQL databases we are having in Hadoop, right? They can get into such related areas. For example, people who have worked in like DB2, right? So they can possibly look into, maybe making a shift into, let's say, MongoDB or Cassandra or HBase, one of these things, correct? Right? So, okay, so that's possible if somebody has worked out and out in database, right? So that's a decent change you can make. Okay, because this is going to be, the natural transition in my opinion. If you are like, if you're programmed in COBOL and all that, right? I don't have much of background about that, but you can still, give it a shot. You can come here. You don't need to exactly stick to, Java and other things, because Java is used in MapReduce, yes, but there are other programming languages that you can still use for Hadoop, right? For example, Pig and all those things. It's a layer of abstraction over MapReduce, right? So we are trying to simplify so that you are only focused on solving a big data problem rather than getting hung up on Java and these related things, right? So that's why I'm saying, mainframe professional who wants to be a developer, they still have an opportunity here, correct? Sure. So, hope I'm able to, make it clear, friends. Um, it- okay. Can I look into the question window for now? So, just friends, before you post your questions, you can keep posting, but I'm going to take it after I answer some of the, I finished this slide, which is about 15 slides, right? So, quick question. Does it convince you whatever I'm saying? Or are you in agreement with what I said just now? Overall, just a nutshell. The two things, yeah? Okay. All right. Thanks, friends. Thank you. Yeah. So, okay, let me take up, the next slide. I've started learning Hadoop, 8 years of Java, uh, EJB, enterprise experience. Yeah, okay. How can I get a job in Hadoop? Of course, this is quite simple, right? So this is like, somebody who is proficient in Java. I think to me it is a, they have a very good chance of getting into becoming a, Hadoop programmer, because Hadoop itself was developed using Java, right? There's a lot of, interlinking between, Hadoop, because a lot of MapReduce, all those things. So the person who needs to graduate into Hadoop is to, understand some of the nuances, some of the concepts in Hadoop, and they should be able to easily, get a job. 8 years in Java, I think that's going to be fairly simple, because, they would have gone through the breadth of Java in various aspects, right? So that person. So somebody who has got 8 years of experience, there's a lot of experience in my opinion. So the enterprise Java, so they can definitely, get a, just learn the Hadoop architecture, like HDFS architecture and MapReduce architecture. How does the yarn work and things like that? And that should put them in a, a pivotal position, I would say. So it's easy, in my opinion. Okay, so I am a MS SQL DBA, but want to explore the career in big data as it is showing wide scope in near future. I'm thinking to get a training for Hadoop admin. Should I stick to DBA or okay? That's a good question. Um, um, See, the point is, friends, again, MySQL, if you look at the market share of the databases today, right, the leaders are MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server. I'm trying to be, I'm including the SQL as well as NoSQL databases, right? So I'm talking about SQL, all the SQL flavors as well as NoSQL. So if you look at the market share, MySQL I think ranks probably probably it has the largest market share, followed by Oracle, followed by SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, followed by the probably then there is a big gap. Then you will see MongoDB, then you will find Cassandra, and then you will find HBase, um, all those things. These three are I'm sure they are prominent, right, in the NoSQL world, and the other three are like very prominent. And we have about 150 NoSQL databases, right? So the point is there are so many flavors here, right? Both with respect to databases as well as NoSQL databases, right? So one thing you have to clearly understand here is the NoSQL is not going to eat the lunch of, you know, the SQL databases overnight, right? It may probably, corrode the market share of the proper regular SQL what we have, right? But it's not going to, radically change overnight. It may take few years. I can say safely for another 5 years, all these databases are going to coexist, right? Because we are talking about, friends, one thing is, if you look at, I recommend you to go through the link, by Martin Fowler. Is one of the design gurus, right? He has given a beautiful article about polyglot persistence, right? So he says it's not like, today you want to do MongoDB, shelve all the, databases and go to MongoDB. No. Or you want to stick to RDBMS? No. It's not going to be like that. For a given solution, I want to take this. For a given, because in a company you may have multiple solutions. Your application may cater to different solutions. For solution number one, maybe SQL is the ideal candidate. If you are going to, have a tiny database, right, with all the relational features, which you expect that to run in a mobile, you may use a, maybe a SQL Lite for all you know, which has got relational features and excellent querying capabilities, right? NoSQL may not match the querying capabilities of RDBMS, right? So for a different one, which has got a huge data, right, you may use Cassandra or something else, correct? So What I'm saying is somebody who is continuing as a MySQL DBA, it is going to be a hot job even down the line, at least for 5 years, right? But if you want to make a progression into something futuristic, right? You can definitely look into the NoSQL databases. Definitely, the architecturally it is quite different, right? The way it is. In fact, I would say, the people from mainframe, right? I can say you should feel very happy about this because the NoSQL databases, if you look at, there's a lot of similarity. The way it's like a pure plain text file format, right? The way they store and all that, because they have denormalized the whole thing. Because RDBMS is all about normalization, primary key, foreign key, and all that. Here they've denormalized it, so they've made it simplified, right? So I would say that it is this job. If you want to continue, yes, you have an option to continue as well. But wider scope, futuristic, you want to become a NoSQL database, yes. Or if you want to continue as a Hadoop admin, yes, learn the nuances of Hadoop. You can definitely know the see, you will not be jobless is all I'm saying, you know because DBA is going to be a job in demand, right? Even the regular databases, right? The RDBMS DBA. And if you want to move into Hadoop admin, that is definitely a natural progression to make, because but you need to understand the Hadoop architecture, how it works, how does the cluster behave, and what are all the monitoring tools that you will do, and all these things you need to pick up as part of your knowledge. Then you should be able to graduate into this. Okay, so sorry if I sound preachy, friends. I just thought I'll show, I'll touch some peripheral, aspects, whatever I have come across. So, does it sound okay, friends, so far? All right, thank you. Okay, scope, an opportunity for a Unix, Linux admin in the field of Hadoop. Absolutely, you have great scope, because you know the one of the preferred platforms for all these things, right? Any technology, you name it, it's all, it's going to be more and more open source. I mean, it is all open source, bottom line, right? It's going to be running in Linux. So these guys will be playing a very important role. And uh, I don't need to say anything here, friends. It is like, the two questions back, somebody said, I have wealth of experience in Java. Can I become a Hadoop developer? It's like a very clean transition, right? So here, I think the Linux administrator will be a job in demand. So it's going to be like more and more scope. I don't see this job going away in the short run. This is going to stay for quite some time. Okay, I have been asked, working in BI 4 years. Is it a good move to switch to Hadoop? Will the experience as a BI in any way? Definitely yes, because friends, somebody who has worked in BI, I would say, Hadoop developer, uh, you know, someone who uh, it's a you can look into the someone who has done a lot of analytics, right? BI reporting, someone who has done the, let's say, Cognos reporting and all those things, right? They can probably switch over to Tableau kind of thing, right? Because it supports connectivity to Hadoop and all that. Somebody who has done extensive BI, or analytics, they can pick up some of these languages like Python or R, or even SAS, for example. So that's, to me, that's a progression, right? So BI is like, definitely it is required, because that end of the day, the data is going to be, we are talking about a big life cycle of the data, right? We start from ingesting the data, well in the beginning, take it all the way till visualization, right? That's the complete cycle of data. So we kind of, data preparation, data transformation, data, or even before the data ingestion, then we get in the data, then we process the data, we do the transformation, then we take it all, analyze the data, then we do the visualization, right? So that's a, that's a long cycle. And BI definitely plays a dominant role, right? Because it's more to do with analytics on, BI, friends, one subtle change here, like BI is all about historical data, right? We come up with, eventually, um, uh, take it from the warehouse, we look at, analyze the data and publish dashboards and things like that. So BI skills is going to be an important thing. So you can possibly, the BI guys can um, pick up few more tricks in their, in their armor. What I can say is, pick up some domain, uh, become more stronger, or try to learn some of the, you know the domains, try to learn languages like R and all that, right, where you can do some analysis, right? So that's more, that's one other skill which you may want to pick it up, and then add visualization tools into your kitty, like Tableau, or there are so many other tools that can do a lot of wonderful um, you know uh, visualization, right? So that's the scope I'm looking at. But switch to Hadoop, meaning, I can say the tools that supports Hadoop is what I would think of. That's the natural progression instead of becoming a Hadoop developer. Hadoop developer means you're like in the core business logic and all that. I don't want you to become like that. So the BI guys should stick to the BI, something which is connected with Hadoop is all I'm saying. So you can become a business analyst, BA developer in a way, right? So that is a transformation I'm looking at. So change can be scary. In fact, one other thing which I keep reading in every company, right? So which is quite old fashioned nowadays. Change is constant, they say, right? So, but which is what is scarier? Allowing your fear to stop you from growing and all that stuff. This is your very philosophical statement, which is quite true, right? So, friends, uh, a simple example which can motivate you is me, in the sense I was like I was a novice on big data because I thought I was, right. What I'm trying to say is, like, 4 years back, when I used to go talk to people, right, big data, Hadoop, when someone talked like that, I would just move away from that scene, right, because I thought this was like a dinosaur kind of thing, right. So the more and more I interacted with people, it was always, people are name dropping terms, and all those things. And that was like, it made me run away from that scene for some time. Then I thought, let me take a plunge, right? So that's the only way you can get in, friends, right? Once you take a plunge, right, all this, like, you if you look at Apache, let's say look at apache.org, you look at the number of releases they come, the kind of products what they're releasing, what are the ones that are formally released, what are the ones that are incubating. So people are, you need to just keep a constant tab on what is happening in the industry. So that makes it pretty interesting, right? So what is happening, today people talk about, you know they call it ELK stack, all those things, Splunk, and they call about Flink. There are so many things that are coming up, right? All you have to do is just keep, you need to have that mindset and the attitude to push yourself, and take it from there, right? So I'm pretty confident that this is doable, friends. Okay. All right, this is it. So how to, one second, friends, I'll see whether I have any more slides here. How to get a big data job survey. Okay. All right. I think we have come to the end of the slides, which I also appreciate here. So let me take a look at some of the questions here, friends, right? Let me take it in the same order what has been asked. So let me, if India, where Hadoop is more used in terms of opportunity, India, where is this session okay available in LMS? Yes, it's going to be. In the sense, the recording will be available, friends. India, where Hadoop is more used in terms of opportunity. So this is a question from Rahul. Okay, the fact is, um, India where? Okay, Rahul, I think I would say, if you look at any of the job sites, there are lots and lots of jobs, and most of the guys, most of the companies, 2 years back, I would say, even 2 years back, most of them are testing the waters on big data, right? Today, it has become a very, it has become a mandatory item in their strategy. Every company is investing on the big data. Almost all the companies, whoever is going to have more and more data, because it has not, it has become quite cheap to process, and hardware, all those infrastructure has become cheaper, and people are adopting cloud, right? Lots of possibilities are there for them to get into big data. So um, I would say lots of jobs are there, even in Chennai, right? So Bangalore is supposedly, the the more happening place, but Chennai itself, I come across a lot of jobs. So I'm sure it is well spread out, across India. If you look at Pune, Noida, because I keep hearing multiple jobs, Rahul. I think you're definitely, you'll find tons of opportunities. What is the correct learning path? Satish is asking for non-Java candidate. Is it like Hadoop, Pig, Hive, HBase, Spark? So Satish, the point is, um, Hadoop is an architecture, right? For that, you can then, if you want to look into, yeah, definitely instead of learning Java, you can definitely look at, Pig, Hive as some of the alternatives, and HBase. HBase is a database altogether. So you can pick up one of those databases, and Spark is again it's more in-memory computing. It is a replacement for it is a complementary technology for Hadoop, because it kind of the wherever you want a faster processing, something which can be done in memory, people opt for Spark. So all those things, because Spark predominantly uses Scala, Satish. So Scala is a simplified version of Java, I would say. So I would say, in my, maybe you can pick up Pig, Hive. These are all some of the skills, right? Which is completely, you don't need to learn Java or anything, because it's more a SQL-ish kind of languages, right? Please share your LinkedIn. Okay, I will definitely share. This is from Srinivas. In Bangalore, they ask cloud as well, either OpenStack or AWS. Please add the points. So Gauri Shankar is asking this question. In fact, um, cloud, friends, you would have seen lots and lots of people are, IBM has their own cloud, and Microsoft has their cloud, Google has their cloud. Of course, Amazon thing is well known. Lots of things are, companies are coming forward with their cloud offerings, and a lot of guys are also, they have their own DevOps environment, like Bluemix, you would have seen from IBM. So all these guys are like, uh, very very they are encouraging the developer community to, adopting their cloud for developing products, right? Most of them have a, fantastic offering, I would say. So um, OpenStack, they will OpenStack, Gauri Shankar, I though I have heard about it, I don't know much about that. I've heard about that though. So AWS is a very prominent one, but a lot of these companies have upped their stake to actually entice using their own cloud. So I can say that, all these whoever I mentioned just now, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, IBM, these are all the industry leaders today. So you can probably, use any of this cloud. What about big data administrator? This is coming from Hanu. Big data administrator. Um, that's again a very generic term. It's like big data is like, you want to be a Hadoop administrator, you want to be a HBase administrator, or you want to be like you know, so that is a question, which I would think of, Hanu. So if you are connected with database, maybe you can think of being a Hadoop administrator or HBase. But if you are like a network administrator kind of thing, you can still look at extending you know your span of control to even Hadoop administrator, right? So that is kind of connected, but because HBase requires some database aptitude, right? So uh, I'm looking at HBase or any of those NoSQL databases, right? So the DBS can become the NoSQL DBS. So that's a progression. But big data administrator, this is what I'm thinking. What about Hadoop administration? Prem, I think I've answered this question. Uh, how about big data Hadoop opportunity in US, UK? Ramesh is asking. So phenomenal is a very small word, Ramesh. Phenomenal, right? So in fact, if you look at the stats, it suggests that US is completely, they have a huge dearth of skill set for for big data, right? The kind of jobs what they have, uh, they don't have that's the demand versus supply is a gross mismatch there, right? And I would say that I'm sure the same with the UK, same with Australia, same with the Canada. All these countries have, they have definitely moved ahead in terms of big data. India is also surging ahead, but US, UK, and all that, they've been tasting big data. They've been working on big data for some time, right? At least for they are few years ahead. So there are lots and lots of jobs, and the demand versus supply graph is quite skewed there, and it is a huge heck of an opportunity there to, if you're thinking of going there, right? That's okay. Sharmila says, I'm a mainframe certified from Edureka and Hadoop, though I'm getting calls. Everyone expects experience, so it's not, so not sure if it is possible to get a break. Okay, Sharmila, very good question. So what I would think of, Sharmila, the thing is, in fact, in over the last, let me be very candid here, over the last 2 3 months, I would have shortlisted and interviewed. Um, I think I interviewed around 100 plus people for big data, right? Because our company where I was consulting, we had some need for big data as well as analytics, right? So I saw a lot of people coming up with fancy CVs, because definitely that is a first breakthrough you get. But I don't look at the CV alone, because the way they structure the CV itself, the kind of projects what they put in, right? You can easily make out whether they've really done it or not, right? Sometimes the HR provides the CV to us and we are forced to interview, right? That the way it works. Sometimes they look for some keywords, and they get to push the CVs for us to interview, or the talent team, whatever is the team, right? So when we interview, we realize how hollow they are, right? So Sharmila, my point is, you have definitely gone through the grind of Edureka. I'm not trying to market Edureka here. Let me be very honest here. But Edureka, I would say, they have a fair bit of, the fundamentals are quite clear here, right? Because I'm an instructor there. So the fundamentals are quite strong. So I would say, if you can showcase your project, whatever you've done with Edureka, something which you've done, right? The project, if you can really highlight that, that can be one of your selling point. Because many people, they fall flat when we ask questioning on the project, they cannot really explain or articulate what they've done, right? So, all those magic words, what they've put in the CV, it just falls down the drain, right? So if you really can articulate, even though you can put only pig and hive, for example, if you can do that, it shows your readiness to learn and your willingness to, change yourself, right? That is one thing, because people would really appreciate, the kind of effort what you're trying to change yourself from mainframe onto something, right? Something, which is happening technology today, right? So people, it will not go unnoticed. That is one thing. And Sharmila, the other thing is certification, right? Certification, if you have the experience, right? I don't think certification is a, uh, it's a, for example, I'm not certified, friends, right? Because I feel that, certification is a mechanism by which you can showcase your, you know you want to just showcase it. It can become your selling point. So you are showcasing your skills and abilities, right? But if you are experienced, you can definitely, probably, you can convince wherever you are being interviewed, right? You can say that these are the projects I've done, and you can showcase your knowledge in a different way, correct? So Sharmila, is that okay what I'm saying? Do you 9 years will try showcase? Definitely, yeah. Thanks, Sharmila. Okay, let me go in the same order, friends. Okay, so if people have questions on the, what do you call, the certification? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of questions subsequently. So let me talk a few lines about the certification. So again, it is not mandatory, because EMC has its own certification, IBM has it, Cloudera has it, Hortonworks, I don't know, I think they also have it. Everybody has their own certification, and it is, to be very honest, friends, it is all money for them, right? It's money, right? So, and of course, it carries some credibility as well. I'm not trivializing the credibility aspect, but what I'm saying is, you have to really think, because there are ways people can crack the certification, yet their knowledge could be quite hollow, right? There could be some dumps and all that. I don't know about the big data aspect, but because I've seen people clearing Microsoft without even knowing, the MCSD and all that, right? I've seen guys doing the dumps and clearing it. So that's not going to take you anywhere, friends, right? So be very true to yourself, right? So certification, a lot of people woo you to get into that, do some certification. That's, if you can really prepare and go and do it, crack it, well and good. But otherwise, you don't need to sweat it out. But if you are sure about, whatever you have done, right, whatever limited, whether it is a project or your knowledge, if you are sure about, just pick up some small area and just try to, know things, how you can, corroborate, how you can relate to things, all those things, right? If you can really bring up those talent, right, that is being, looked at, because that was one of the things which I was looking at multiple candidates, you know unfortunately, I would say 95% of the people, never had that, which was quite pathetic, right? People, because just people were trying to get the jobs at any cost, putting all those keywords, big hive, everything they put in. And I asked them, like, what did you use? They said they used everything. That is that itself disqualifies them right away, right? So a lot of people make that mistake. So just whatever thing which you want to, think of it, what is the progression, how do you want to move forward, and and is this connected, is this going to be like a natural transition? Think along those lines and move forward. It's going to be very useful, friends. Yes, Hadoop's Hortonworks will be helpful. I think I answered this, Vinod. So it will be helpful. Definitely, I'm not saying it won't be, but just do a diligent preparation and just do that. So that's your certification. It's like a they call it like a hygiene factor, right, friends? Sometimes, right? So I used to do PMP, long ago. I don't know when I cleared it. You know, so the companies will look for PMP, right? Hey, are you a PMP? They will ask me, right? They will not ask me rather. If I'm not done, then they say, you didn't do PMP? So it's like a hygiene factor, right? If I've done PMP, they'll keep quiet. It's like, somebody has cleared something, right? So I would say, it is more or less like that. But, uh, but if you're a raw beginner, right, maybe certification could be one of the things, it can be your USP here, right? If you're a raw beginner, but I wouldn't really recommend a certification with full force. If you're an experienced professional, right? You can definitely find other ways to convince and all that, but certification doesn't hurt you either. But there are multiple ways to move forward. But if you're a raw big fresher, right, maybe certification could be one of the channels here. What are the usual environments in production? Do they all use Hadoop ecosystem or only few of them? Satish. Usual environments. So Satish, as I said, people use. It's not going to be entirely Hadoop and all that, because a lot of companies, they still, they keep using Hadoop as uh, Hadoop as part of that. Hadoop also, they have kept a cluster and all that. But gradually, they are moving. Some of them have kept it, the legacy systems as well as Hadoop. And people, gradually migrate and all that. There is no big bang migration. It takes some time, but the traditional systems as well as Hadoop, it kind of coexists, I would say. And um, I don't know whether I'm answering your question correctly, but usual environments in production. So Satish, it's a typical Hadoop cluster, right? So it is, they may not have entirely, like, they will not use everything, but there are ways and means for you to use everything. So most of the companies, they don't draw a line and say that, you have to use Pig, you have to use Hive and all that. So most of them, even this is a point I try to drive when I talk about the projects and all that, right? When we talk, when I encourage my learners to do project, I tell them, don't you should not be it should not be the technology that should be driving your solution. Your solution should be driving the technology, right? So I would say, if my solution warrants me to use Hive, right, I would better use Hive. It should not be like, because Hive is being used, I need to tweak the technology in a different way. No, right? So people generally don't put a, they don't say use Hive, because it's all going to be interconnected. It's all going to be, part of the ecosystem, right? So it's going to be like everything is going to be there. All they care about, can you fix my problem, right? As long as you can provide an effective solution, that's it. So Satish, is that fine? My answer. Ravi Chika. Okay. I have taken Hadoop course, spending serious time on this. Do you think foundation course enough for me to get a job? Do you think specialized course like Spark? Okay. Um, so Ravi, the thing is, let me tell you. Today, it may seem that Spark is a specialized course. Tomorrow something else may come up, right? Because big data is a it's not a constant target, it's a moving target, right? So they have come up with Spark. If you look at it, right, Storm came after Spark, right? Spark does in-memory computing. Storm came, okay, in order to counter Storm, because Storm does real-time computing, right? It can work with streaming data. Then in order to counter that, Spark came up with Spark streaming. And if you look at Flink, right, it can do both, right? So it is claimed to be even more faster than Spark and all that. The stats are suggesting that. So there is no end to that. So the companies, if you say that, if sometimes, some companies hire it in this way, like, if you have worked on Spark, yes, because you may have a head start versus somebody who doesn't know Spark. But they may look at the kind of adaptability, right? What kind of, just a few minutes back we were talking about mainframe to a person, right? Sharmila, I guess. So that person, she is actually, she wants to sweat it out, and she wants to move from mainframe to something radically different. To me, that attitude is far more important, right? Then, then if you're showcasing, if you're really convincing whatever you're saying, right, you're in, right? It doesn't say that, and if you're solid in Hadoop, correct? If you're solid in Hadoop, for you to pick up Spark, I don't see that as a big deal, right? So I don't say that, you need to pick up Spark to get into a job. Hadoop itself has got a fantastic market, it has got fantastic market, and a lot of investment has been done by a lot of companies across the world. So I think there's enough future, and you can definitely upgrade your skill set. You can look into Spark or Storm, all those things, or even Kafka. All those things are there. So there is, it's like, it's a um, it's a moving target, friend Ravi. So Ravi, is that fine? So I just want to ensure that I'm whether I'm answering. Okay, sure. Vinod is asking, does clearing cloud era? I think Vinod, I answered your question. Okay, I cleared Hadoop developer Edureka. Kishore Kumar has left. Okay, I'll just how to prepare for the interview. I don't have a real-time experience in Hadoop technology, but I have 9+ years of experience with Java J2. I think he has got a solid, experience in Java. So Hadoop developer with Edureka, I think that's good enough. If we can showcase the project along with Java, I think there is no, I don't see a problem here. Naren is asking, all my 12 years is Oracle, Linux. So Naren, I think you may want to look into some of the NoSQLs. I think again, but Oracle itself will stay for quite some time, and Linux, yeah, Linux is anyway the most happening platform here. The OS perspective, right? So that's definitely there, Naren. So you may want to try your hand in one of the NoSQL databases, like just pick up anything. First, try to understand what is a NoSQL database, and maybe take it from there. Will I be good for Hadoop admin? That is the next question by Naren himself. Hadoop admin, yes, definitely possible, Naren. You can look at database admin of NoSQL, or you can be a Hadoop admin itself. That can be a good career shift for you, because you can look into, try to learn the architecture. Uh, Hadoop architecture, and then you can, how it operates and all that. And there are a lot of monitoring tools. So if you're a database developer, then I would say something else. But if you're onto database administrator, you can look into administration, right? Let me ask, next question is Nabanita Das. I have always wanted to work in development, but I have been put into support project always. I've taken the course from Hadoop, but I'm struggling to get through interviews. Please suggest how I can grow as a Hadoop developer. That's a dicey question, Nabanita Das. All right. Taken the course from Edureka. Okay. Have you come, I mean, Nabanita, because I can't be asking questions to you right now, because, there's a lot of questions to be answered. So my 2 cents here is, you should, um, as I mentioned earlier, so it does, I cannot really have control over what you are going through support project and all that. It doesn't matter. So if you are looking for an opportunity, um, then you should I'm sure you, since you are saying you've been thrown into support project and all that, I'm sure you have some experience, right? Development experience in some flavor, right? So what you can do is, you can, with what you have done with Edureka, right? I'm sure you would have done the project, right? So friends, this is something I keep insisting, whenever I take up a batch, right? I keep insisting, please treat the project with utmost respect here, because don't do it like a, just like a book, like library, people fudge it, right? They say we did a library management payroll and all that. Don't do it like that. Try to think of a genuine problem statement, try to solve that, then you are in. I can bet on anything, friends, you are in, because you can at least make that, the first cut, right? Once you are once you can convince, pass through that barrier, right? It all depends how you're going to articulate in an interview, right? If you can really think of, you know if you are really genuine, right here, if you tell, okay, this is my thing and this is what I want to grow and this is what I've done, I'm sure you can see the light, Nabanita, right? You can, I mean, I don't see why you cannot grow as a big data developer, Hadoop developer in big data. Absolutely possible. So, but you can showcase that project, whatever you've done, or you can probably look into a project, or or you may like to do a certification also, if you have very less experience, right? So I would recommend more for, the certification, more for the people, for the people who do not have much of experience, work experience. Okay, next is Anup. He says, I've completed big data training from Edureka 2 months, but I have 14 years experience in service delivery. What kind of role do you suggest me for you? So Anup, you can look into, you can probably be a manager for big data also, right? Service delivery. Definitely you can do that, because I have got, I know a lot of product companies, right? They hire people, you know especially in the data front, right? They hire people with the data knowledge, right? For them to, for those people to actually manage projects that are data related, right? So a lot of people do a lot of products, a lot of projects, right? In the data, in the area of data, whether it is a migration or whether it is a development or anything to do with big data, right? So they look at your breadth of experience in dealing with such projects, right? So you can, it's not like you need to be an architect all the time or a developer all the time. Even managers are going to be in high demand, right? Because you need someone to manage the project as well, and someone with this flavor of experience, right? You can definitely leverage on your service delivery experience and move on to the next front. You can say that, I come with this experience, right? So you can say that, you can, then you may test the waters managing such a project, then you're on board with that. Does it make sense, Anup? Okay. What about Kiran? What about SQL Server DBA to Hadoop admin switch? I think I answered this. It is possible. Could you please, this is from Ramesh Shashidharan, which all product-based companies having scope for Hadoop? I think, Ramesh, lots and lots of product companies, right? I can say eBay adopted Hadoop, I would say at least 4 years back, for even 5 years, right? And look at any companies, right? Twitter, Yahoo, all these biggies, any product company, well, be it Flipkart, any e-commerce company, they're all predominantly onto Hadoop, right? And many network companies, I consulted on network analytics companies, right? They are also, they need to get into big data because the kind of volume they handle, right? They need, right? Or anybody who is doing the retailing, right? Any retail giants, all those guys, they need Hadoop, right? Because you can just a plain, how you can ask yourself this question is like, if you, anybody who is going to have lots and lots of data, right? Definitely they will, they need Hadoop here, right? So I would say most of these companies, which the domains I told Ramesh, so they are all um, they would have entered Hadoop by now. Now, Ajay, I'm a Java developer, want to move to Hadoop admin. How can I get a Hadoop admin job? So Ajay, I would say, if you can become a Hadoop developer, but if you want to be an administrator, that's your choice. You should definitely know how you can create a cluster, single node cluster, multi-node cluster, and how to do load balancing. You should learn administration, Ajay, because to me, that is not a natural transition. But if you're very passionate about administration, that's your goal, then that's fine. But you should pick up those skills before you get in there. Poonam says, I'm in teaching field doing PhD in big data. Is there any chance to get job in? So any chance to get job in Hadoop big data teaching field? So, Poonam, I think one of the bright things which I can say is like you can become an educator if that is very related to your area as well, right? That is one thing. But if you want to, sit down as a developer and work on things, that's again, that's a choice, right? So you can be that as well, right? But you can probably become like, if you have I mean, I do, I, I've been an educator for the last 2.5 years, but primarily due to my passion, right? So I come from, my father was a professor and, all those things. So I come with that background, but I was never onto this. But I started doing this because I started liking it, because I get to interact with people like you, and it keeps me motivated, and it also keeps me abreast of what is going on around, right? So because I may be just working on part of a technology, right? So but I get to learn a lot of things by doing this. So that is one thing, because whenever I start the class, I always tell the learners that I'm going to learn as well. It's not that it's going to be like one dimensional, right? So Poonam, I would say if you want to work as an educator, you have a lot of scope here. But if you want to, because I also do product consulting, because I come from that background, right? So you can be a consultant as well, Poonam, right? So that can be one of the areas you can target it. Okay, so friends, next thing, I don't have any prior experience, Teja. Do you think it's good idea for me to step into my career as a Hadoop developer? It's possible, Teja, if you can spruce up your Java knowledge, if possible, if you come from that background. Otherwise, you can probably do a course, as a starting point. You need some starting point somewhere, right? So if you don't have experience, you need a starting point. If you can do that and jump in, then you have a fair bit of chance, Teja. Nagaraju says, I'm having 8 years experience in testing. I want to change my career into Hadoop developer. Then which components I have to concentrate to get job as Hadoop developer? So Nagaraju, as I told you earlier, 8 years onto testing, I don't want that to be, uh, a past, this is a very vital experience what you have gained, right? You don't want to just throw it just like that. So, but if you're passionate about development, yes, but you can become a Hadoop, you know, get into the data quality if that is something you can think about. Maybe that's the direction. If I were you, probably I will think along those lines, Nagaraju. So, but if you want to become a Hadoop developer, if that is like your passion, right? So you can maybe look into which components. What I'm saying is because you're a testing guy, if you haven't worked on any of the programming languages, then learn the Hadoop architecture, then learn some of the easier languages like Pig and Hive, and or Impala, those kind of things, right? Then those things can help you um, along the way, right? So that is something you can give it a shot. I am a designer. Is there any scope for me in Hadoop, Samuel? Okay, I believe you're talking about UI design, Samuel. So uh, design is irrespective of Samuel, whether it is Hadoop or anything, right? Design, it is completely front ending part, right? And you have always scope. if you look at every aspect of it, right? Whether it is even as we speak now, the world is gearing towards IoT and all that, right? We are talking about industrial automation. And it is also becoming more and more consumer centric, right? A lot of things are evolving today, right? So IoT is like taking the world by storm. Even there, designing, right? Designing is going to play a very, very vital role, because end of the day, whatever happens, the business logic and all those back end, front end, all those stuff. The eventual thing is, the UI design, that's going to play a role no matter whatever we are, wherever we are headed, right? So that's a very, very the UI design, people are it is a lot of innovations have happened, since the time I have seen, friends. A lot of people call it HCI and all that, and people, designing has become like, it has completely, it's a very niche area, I would say. So now, so Samuel, I would say, you should continue to be a, UI designer. If you're talking about that, I believe you're talking about that. So friends, I'll go down the window, because the reason is I don't know whether I'm answering it correctly. So I want to get an acknowledgement from some of the folks like Ajay, Poonam, and Teja, and Nagaraju and Samuel, whether I've answered it along the way. I mean, with some sense. Is that fine, friends? I think Samuel says okay. Okay, I believe others are also listening. Okay, all right. Ajay, Gaurishan, missed mine, Gaurishankar. All right, sounds good. All right, yeah, Gaurishankar. Thanks. Yeah, Deepti. All right, thanks. So friends, I'll go up again. Because I'm not missing anything. I'm exactly following the order, friends. Sorry. So whatever, if I can answer, I'll try to answer today. Ramesh, Ajay, Poonam, okay, I've covered all. Okay, Senthil Nathan, I'm taking his question now. 6 years onto IT, infrastructure, Windows, Linux server support, AWS. 3 years in QA, I finished Cloudera for Hadoop administration. When I tried for admin job, Hadoop admin, I could not. So currently working in AWS operations. What kind of Hadoop job I can target? You can target being an administrator, Senthil Nathan. Hadoop administrator is one thing, or you can become a cloud administrator as well. Why not AWS administrator? That's one of the most happening, hottest jobs today, right? If you're a cloud administrator, right? That's also that's going to be an interesting thing as well. Is there any scope and opportunity for designer UI? I think Samuel, I answered. Admin side, they're asking cloud as well. Gauri Shankar. Okay. So Gauri Shankar, yeah, admin side, yeah, cloud is a, that's a, people are moving towards cloud, right? So if you can probably, get into any of these clouds, AWS or, any of these famous ones, right? You can, popular ones, you can, uh, it's just, the way you project yourself, Gauri Shankar, right? So if you, yeah, true, I agree with you. People ask for cloud, but, it doesn't, it's not, it doesn't add up, it doesn't mean that, you cannot get a job without this cloud, uh, but it's like, it's good to have skill set. But if you have specialized in, like, Senthil Nathan asked, right? So he's working in AWS operations, right? That's a very niche area by itself. So if you look at cloud administrators and all that, so that's niche area, so you can um, target that. Sharmila, okay, I've answered. Is there any scope and opportunity for designer? Okay, Samuel, okay, I answered that. Deepti, I've seen many people, lot of experience. My job is analyst. I have no. Okay, okay. Deepti, uh, many people in Hadoop has a lot of experience. How is it going to help me? I'm with 2 years of experience. My job is an analyst. I have little knowledge about R, Spotfire, SAS model, SAS miner. Now I started learning Hadoop, which I should pick up along with Hadoop. So Deepti, I would say, if you are an analyst, you're an analyst by, by nature, why don't you become a data analyst, right? You can become a data analyst. That can be one of the areas you can look into that. A data analyst is like, you can do, say, anything, as I said, you can use any of these tools, SAS, Python, or, R, to do data analysis. And R and all those things, it has got a lot of statistical algorithms as well, which can complement your analysis skills, right? You can think about such options. But you can, data analyst is a growing job. And, at some point, once you are grow into that, it can lead you into the path of data scientist as well, right? At some point, because data analyst is a, and you can become a data architect as well, right? So a lot of such things can happen, Deepti. A lot of options are open there, for you. So you can continue your analysis skills, leverage on those analysis skills, and, you can take it along. Ankit Bhatia, big data ecosystem technologies are changing so rapidly. Hadoop to Spark, Hive to Spark SQL, Java to MapReduce to Scala. To which thing we have to consider before moving to big data? So Ankit, I think you already have answered your thing. Big data is a moving target, and things are rapidly changing. But if somebody comes with Hadoop, talent, right? For example, someone who has got, the Hadoop is all about, how we do the distributed computing and parallelism and all that, right? So Spark, they try to do those concepts in memory and all that, right? So and uh, things are changing. I am in agreement with you. But it is like, if you know how to analyze the data, the fundamental engineering aspect, right? If you know how to do data analysis, right? um, let's say using Hive, or using, if you have used, let's say, MySQL, right? So if you know Hadoop architecture, and if you know MySQL, if I were to hire you, I would definitely hire you. The reason is, I know Hive is a dialect of MySQL, and it's about analysis, right? And you know the fundamentals of analysis. If you have done those things correctly, right? From the, let's say, from the uh, technology perspective, right? If you have done those things correctly, because the underlying job, it's changing. People are, you know the sorry, the job, underlying job may remain the same. The technologies keep changing. It keeps changing, friends, right? It keeps changing. Today they call it X, and tomorrow they call it Y, and all that, with some advancements either in technology and all that. But if you look at distributed computing, right, it existed even before Hadoop came into existence, right? So people started getting into the distributed computing because of limitation which they saw in traditional computing. That's why, the Java developers are still in demand. They can easily make a transition into a Hadoop developer, right? Because if they understand these nuances, right, they can very well graduate into becoming a Hadoop developer. So rapidly changing, yes. Hadoop to Spark, yes. But if you know Hadoop, if you have a fair bit of knowledge in Hadoop and, Java and all that, right? MapReduce to Scala, yeah. I think I don't see that as a, a big deal for you to jump into this. Did I answer these questions correctly, friends? Deepti and Ankit. So I don't want to go down, because, I lose the offset, where I came from. So I believe I'm trying to do some justice here. So KV Murali Krishna, I have 8 years of experience in Sybase Unix. Now I'm planning to switch to Hadoop administration. Have I chosen the correct path? Absolutely yes, Murali Krishna. You can do that. Hadoop administration, yes. Or you can even look into, becoming a, let's say, people start using, what do you call? I keep forgetting the, they um, there is a tool that does the administration for Hadoop. Um, it's not Mahout. There's one more tool. So that does the, you know, you can monitor and all those things. Maybe, it's not in my memory right now. You can think of, getting there, and, there are a lot of such things. Hadoop administration is I think, to me, that's probably the correct move you can think of. Nilesh says, I don't have experience in Hadoop. What circumstances we may get interview calls? As priority would be for experienced people. So Nilesh, you can, you can possibly do a course if you have not done it yet, because you want to know Hadoop. Maybe that's, you need to start at some place, then think of going into, then probably do a project, and then maybe a certification also may help you if you're not experienced enough, right? So these are the ways you can stake a claim for the jobs, right? Sure. Pune, Bangalore as startups, Rahul is asking. Yeah, sure. Pune, Bangalore, yeah, predominantly Bangalore has got lots and lots of jobs, friends. So it's there. You can simply go into any of those job sites, right? You look at big data, right? Lots and lots of guys are in various domains. People want. So and people who are people who are very good in Java, right? I think many companies, they've, for them it is a natural transition for them to move into Java, into Hadoop and all that. You can also think of the a lot of companies also do use the other tools as well, right? So and because many companies have invested in the past in Java is still the the most widely used language. So many of for them it is a decent transition. So the Java guys will have a easy ride here, I can say without a doubt. What are the few reputed companies looking for Hadoop admins in Hyderabad? Kiran, okay. Uh, that's a tough question, Kiran. Maybe I don't know how to answer this. Maybe you can search for that. Hadoop admins in Hyderabad. You can look for companies that are using admin. So Hadoop and all that. So because any company that is using Hadoop, right? Either they should be at least in India, cloud is still taking off, I would say, right? A lot of companies are migrating to cloud, but a lot of people choose to be using that in-premise solutions and all that, and they have a very small cluster, many companies, right? So people are gradually getting there. So I'm sure you'll find a lot of companies wanting. For big data jobs, how much minimum experience expected in Dinesh? Experience from testing mainframe, 9 years of experience person from testing, mainframe testing. Big data jobs, how much minimum experience? So Dinesh, you may want to look at data quality. That can be one of the domains, right? So you try to leverage your quality experience in that. That can be one of the you know uh, that can be one of the areas you're looking at. But minimum experience, it friends, one thing is, big data is not a mumbo jumbo thing, right? Don't think that it's something alien part. It works the same way as our regular technologies as well, in the sense with respect to jobs and all that. Would you pick a novice into a critical assignment? Probably not. You will look for an expert. And would you like to train someone, maybe uh, from the campus? You want to get someone, you throw them onto training? Yes. In fact, last week I was not last week, like very recently, I my one of my friends went for a corporate training. So he was training like 25 people for a leading service company, right? And out of the 20 were rookies, right? So all of them were, they've been tossed into this because they are like hardly come up with the 2 to 3 years of experience, 2 to 3 months of experience, right? They all come, many are from Java background, right? So the company is investing on them. So that's, that's the way, it happens. So it is, people are not picked just for, big data and all that. So they pick up, and if they see a potential that you can adapt, then it is doable. What is the salary comparison in Shailendra is asking, MS, SQL and higher. Shailendra, I think that's, you can probably, there are some stats in the web, so I don't exactly know to the T, but SQL versus Hadoop admin, then, you know, again, as I said, it doesn't, a lot of people have a wrong notion that, if you say big data, you're paid like very big bucks. The answer is yes and no. if you are an expert in any field, right, you get to make big bucks. That's a given, right? If you are a super duper, hardcore, I've seen guys who have not changed even from mainframe. Somebody who is like, they work for 6 months, they make tons of money, right? Those guys are like, that person is claims to be making, he works for 6 months. He's my, I know him for quite some time. He works for 6 months. He works as a consultant in kicks, right? That's one of the things in mainframe. I don't know anything beyond that. So he's like, 6 months, and there are enough companies that are still doing that. And he doesn't want to change. He hasn't changed. He has got like 28 years of experience in that. He makes lots of money because he's an expert, right? Similarly here, right, there's no salary. If you're a top class admin, right, you will definitely create the demand, and you will make big bucks. It's always the, if you're a specialist, you get to make big bucks, big data architect and all that, right? So they make, and some of the leading data scientists, right, they make like huge money. They are like, they make, in fact, their salary could be even higher than some of the other senior people in the company. That's possible, right? So I am a functional analyst in telecom billing area. Which application should I concentrate more in Hadoop ecosystem? Functional analyst, telecom. Telecom, Jagdish is asking this question. So telecom, I would say, uh, I mean, big data is, it has pervaded into all the domains, Jagdish. But if you are looking at, call detail record, for example, such things, right? Any kind of streaming data, if you're focused on that, you can look into Storm and some of the other technologies. But before you jump into such things, I want you to understand the rudimentary part, the basic part of Hadoop, right? So that's a given. You need to focus on such things first. First understand what is big data, first understand the basics, right? Then you can look into some of these technologies. You have any idea about job in US, Canada? I think I answered this. There are lots of technologies related to big data. Different companies were asking for specific technologies, so a little confused. What should I focus to get a job? Java or Pig or Hive or Python? Hive or Python? C++, HBase. Okay. So Mohammed is asking this question. So Mohammed, it purely depends, right? Again, it's not like big data, right? Big data is a domain, or it's a problem statement, right? And there are like, you want to become a big data developer, or you want to become a big data architect, or you want to become a Hadoop admin, you want to be a Hadoop developer, or you want to be a, Python developer. Python is like, it is quickly replacing, it's probably the most, you know the Python scripting. I think it is very, very widely used, and it has got, uh, it has replaced so many other languages today, right? It's a very, very popular language to pick up, right? So HBase, for example, if you know HBase, yes, HBase itself can, people with REST skills, right? Java with REST skills over HBase, that's a deadly combo to have. Lots and lots of, jobs are there, Muhammad. So it's not like, uh, whatever you have mentioned, Java or Pig or Hive, everything has got its own job, right? So as I mentioned earlier, any companies will have all these things, they will use it for different situations, right? So it's not like, just they're going to stick to one thing. They will use it for different situations, for to tackle different problems, right? So Rajashekar Gupta. I am an Oracle Apps project manager. If I learn big data Hadoop, will I get project manager job in big data? Absolutely yes, Rajesh Gupta. You cannot. It's a definitely yes, because your project manager's management skill, right? That's a very important skill set, right? You would have done maybe agile, or anything. You would have managed in different capacities, right? Different kind of projects. So here, if you also pick up these skills, you can probably, start managing these projects better, because see, project man, you can manage these projects, if you have little bit of technical depth in these areas, right? You can probably, portray yourself, and probably showcase yourself, that you can also do these projects. Amar, has left. If I live in Jordan, Middle East, what are the opportunities there? Okay, he has left anyway. So I am a Java developer with 4 years of experience. Any tips on how to include Hadoop in CV? So Mahesh, my sincere advice is suggestion rather, not advice. First, pick up some knowledge in Hadoop, then you can put it for sure, right? So if you just blindly put Hadoop and all that, right? If somebody is caught in a interview, for example, and if they see you that you're not done the due diligence, then it's going to be terrible, right? So first thing, gain some experience. Even if you don't get experience, you have 4 years of experience, right? Java developer, so that's a very good skill set to have. Just pick up Hadoop architecture, right? Try to learn the concepts. Then you say that you have a fair bit of understanding in these areas, right? You can definitely project yourself. Then after that, Siddharth, I am currently going through Edureka course. Sorry, one second. And you are the instructor. Okay, okay, Siddharth, good luck. My question is, how helpful would be the live projects offered by we are ready to actual job? Okay, Siddharth, it's going to be, as I said earlier, you please, it's going to be pretty vital, in my opinion, right? So I'm pretty confident that if you are able to do that project with all earnestness and seriousness. You know, uh, in fact, I don't know whether I've come to that part yet because you are in my class. So I generally touch upon these aspects towards the end of the class and towards the end of the last session and all that. So I try to tell the learners typically that you need to think of a problem statement and how you're able to fix the problem, right? Fix the problem. So that's very, very important. Fixing the problems. So be it any technology, right? So these things are pretty important, Siddharth. So think along those lines, and then everything will you know, fall into the place, right? So it's important that because your problem, what you are trying to fix, and be very articulate, be very specific. Then all the technology, related technology, everything can be you should take which is the one which is going to solve this your problem. It totally depends on the kind of problem what you have taken. What is the problem statement, and accordingly you look at the solution, and how you are going to approach the solution. All these are going to play a role there. What is the scope for .NET developer? Vijaya is asking. .NET, in fact, Vijaya, just to give you a picture, I've been a .NET developer for some time, way back in 2002. So, you can, uh, I think if you have done web surveys and all that, Vijaya, I think it should still be, you can still, um, I don't know how to say this, but because for you to pick up Java, or for you to pick up Scala, or for you to even stick to .NET, right? You can still do most of the, if you look at most of the recent technologies that have come in the thing, right? They also support .NET implementation. You look at any databases, for example, like um, HBase or Mongo, right? They all support .NET as well, right? Many of them, because Microsoft is also trying to push their thing into Azure and all that, right? So I think I mean, .NET is still there to stay, Vijaya. It's not going away, right? Completed. Prem has left. Completed Hadoop admin. So can you tell me the area to concentrate? Okay. So I hope I answered this question. Hadoop administrator career, Hanu. Okay, Hanu. So that's a niche area by itself, Hanu. So I think that's definitely there. Gauri Shankar is asking, what are the things we have to take care in admin side? So admin side, Gauri Shankar, there's lots and lots of things, right? So I mean, a typical administrator, whether you're a network administrator or a DB administrator, right? You have a lot of things. I mean, I don't want to go to the specifics. If you're talking about Hadoop admin, it's like balancing the cluster. If something comes in, if you want to expand the cluster or shrink the cluster, monitoring the cluster, right? And all those things, it is the administrator becomes will be playing a vital role. And if they want to, even to what is the how do they load balance, and all those things, anything that is happening in the Hadoop cluster, right? Administrator will be playing a very vital role there. Abhimanyu, as I see the job openings, almost all of the ask for Hadoop along with J2E. I'm mainframe with developer profile. Should I learn Java or is it possible without that? Abhimanyu has left, but I want to still tell that it is possible without Java as well. Anil has left, but he says I'm from AS400, has experience in programming DB2. Yeah, so Anil has got a lot of options. Either he can look into you know uh, look into some of the databases here, or even uh, SQL. Maybe he can also look into some of the things like Hive and all that, which has got a lot of querying capabilities, right? A lot of analysis and querying capabilities. So that is one of the areas Anil can focus on, right? Cloud era certification play a big role while looking for job change. So Yashpal, I think I've talked enough things about certification. So for a person without much experience, it's going to play a vital role. With experience, it is still going to play a role, but your experience, to me, that is you can definitely enlighten the interview panelists, with your experience, how you have expanded your horizon into the big data. So if you can really talk with conviction there, so I don't see a problem there. Uh, Globally recognized certifications. So Srinivas, again, I mentioned about all the certifications. Is it a good idea to focus heavily on Pig and Hive? I find it much easier to get my foot on the door. Okay, so it is a good idea, friends, definitely, because a lot of the bottom line is how you're going to solve the big data problem, whether you use MapReduce or should you use Pig or Hive, whatever, right? So if you know what to use, because the role of an architect, right, big data architect, a lot of people aspire to become an architect as well. So they get to know, they keep upgrading themselves, updating themselves with various technologies, right? They need to know, and they need to know a level, which is like, given a choice, they should be also be able to code, right? So they should not be, they should be completely hands-on with most of the technologies that are there, right? And all the way till, they should have a fair bit of grasp in various stages of big data, right? All the way till visualization, right? That's the expectation for most of the top-notch companies. That's why they are paid big bucks, right? And they should know which technology to go where, right? Many companies make a grave mistake of going for technologies which they shouldn't have gone into, right? So now this is becoming a very important aspect. So the technology, which technology to choose where, and how to use it, architect can play a role. Then most of the developers, analysts, they can jump in and help the architect and help the team and all that, right? So um, so I would say that you can, the idea is to get into the things, and you should know which technology to use where. So Pig and Hive are anyway in demand, right? It doesn't matter that whether, nobody forces that you need to use Java, right? But some company which has just moved from Java onto the big data, right? So that they will, most of their source code and all those things they may expect, you know uh, to maintain in Java stacks. That's possible, but you know things are changing, friends. Can it be good for to join me? Anil has left, so I'm ignoring that question. Good for me to join Hadoop big data area? Yes, the answer is yes. Gauri Shankar, Hadoop admin has to know hardware server side in interview point of view. Like which server worked like that? Yeah, definitely Gauri Shankar. So it's because I have not never done Hadoop administrator to be honest, but you definitely need to know which server you've done and the hardware configuration. Definitely they need to know the hardware size, what kind of machines they've done, and how many, what was the size of the cluster, right? So they should be doing all these things. What is the average salary for a Hadoop developer, administrator, data scientist? Uh, uh, okay, so Manohar, I think it purely depends, as I told you earlier. It is an expert always gets big bucks, right? So that's how I would put it. And data scientists are really one of the they really get big bucks if they are really qualified and they are with high credibility, right? People, because nowadays nobody looks at a person. If I say I'm a top class or top notch Hadoop administrator or let's say data scientist, right? So nobody looks at you, by looking at your CV. They can go to the GitHub and they can look into your social footprints. What is your contribution? Well, and have you done any kind of open houses? Have you done any contribution in the the public forums? Which forums are you attached to? So they look at literally all these things before they assess a person, right? They look at the source code also, GitHub, what is your level of contribution you've done and all that, right? So anybody who has done extensively, right? Most of the somebody who has worked through the industry and they have been a change agent in for some of the companies, some of the crucial products and all that. They definitely get to make big bucks because they are somebody who is prominent, right? That's how it is. How the job opportunity in Australia? I am a J2E senior to plan to move to Hadoop admin. Raja Lakshmi has left, but Australia is also quite big in big data. Even shortlisting is becoming a. Sharmila says shortlisting is becoming a challenge. Yeah, uh, hope. Yeah, I think I. Uh, it depends. How you actually showcase yourself. Um, in general, job description lists almost 80% of the tools in Hadoop ecosystem for any role. They are looking for NoSQL, data visualization. This is from Geeta, by the way. Analytics tools like Hive, Pig, Spark, you name it, they list it. Experience in all. Is the company clear about what they are looking for? Fantastic question. I like this. Many companies, they look for the breadth of, all these things, but they may not be using everything, but they generally put it. I'll tell you, friends, from the because I've seen a lot of HR guys also, right? They will say we are looking for 20. We want to do. We are hiring 5 big data professionals, right? So their genuine requirement may be just 1 or 2 also, right? I'm not generalizing this, but I've seen companies doing it, because if you put 5, a lot of people will apply, right? If you just put one position, people will be disheartened to even apply and say I may not stand a chance, right? So this is one of the strategy company, the HR and the what do you say, the hiring team follows these kind of things sometimes, right? And they look for all these things because sometimes the companies also, because they are new into this area, they want to just grab a talent who is fairly versatile, because who can easily adapt or get into these technologies quickly, rather than somebody who is just having some knowledge in Hadoop and completely onto Java otherwise. So uh, I'm not discounting them, but the guy with who is having a breadth of these things, right? Maybe can have an edge on others, right? So that's possible. So companies, sometimes they may lack clarity also, but generally they may have a specific requirement. For example, if I'm looking for a MongoDB developer, right? So I don't specifically look for MongoDB. If I put, right, many people may not have that because MongoDB is a new technology, right? So I am looking at MongoDB with 5 years experience. You will never get it. or somebody who sends the CV, it's a fudge CV for sure, doctored CV, right? So I will look at someone who is having a database experience, database programmer experience, and somebody who has made the transition over the last couple of years onto MongoDB. So that's the ideal profile I'll be looking at. So I'll be also putting, the database like, SQL, these things, here's somebody who's done a trigger, somebody who's done, all those things I'll put in. Plus, I'll also put in MongoDB and, some of those things, right? So they will try to put a good spread of all the things, whatever they're looking for. Plus, sometimes they also put some additional things, right? Just to get a picture, right? So that, if they are lucky, they may get such a person, but generally not. So they may look at, they will have a specific need for 2 or 3 things out of this. But some big companies, right, they may have requirements in pockets of all these technologies, right? So that's also possible. Can you please share one interview question, Ravi? Okay. Um, Most of the questions, Ravi, it is, because I keep interviewing people, right? So I ask them their project, right? That's one thing I ask them, or I test their knowledge, right? I ask them something like, what is Hadoop? How is it different from some of the other technologies? I keep asking that, right? So I also give them a scenario to ask them, ask a question. Scenario based questions are, that's very prevalent here. So you can easily, catch a person, somebody who is just talking from the surface, or somebody who knows what he's talking, right? So you can easily measure that aspect. So you can say, how is Hadoop different from your traditional? How is the distributed computing? How does it do parallelism? A lot of questions I keep asking. So it is not like, there are like thousands of questions. And if you just Google Hadoop interview questions, there are truckloads of questions. You will find it in the internet itself. I am 9 years. Okay, what is the most optimum way? We may not have industry experience. Any good sources apart from Edureka projects? Okay, that person has left, but I'm never saying Edureka is the only avenue, right? There are so many other avenues, but because I've seen so many other other areas too. But Edureka, in my opinion, right, I think they insist on a lot of fundamentals here. So that way, I feel it is quite good, right? So it's absolutely up to you, which ones. But there are, you want to do a project by, some people are self starters. They want to just, they pick up a mentor, with a company, right? Some companies do that as well. They just go and take up a mentor and start working with whatever knowledge, and the mentor guides them through the whole thing, right? That's also possible, but it is essential for you to have some knowledge before you can dip your toe onto big data and Hadoop and all that. uh, I am a Java developer. This is from Makarand. 10 years. So switching to Hadoop as a developer, will it be a good move? What about if I move to US with this background? Will it be worth? Java developer, I think Makarand, I would say, definitely it's going to be a good move. But I think even with your Java experience, right, you can easily go to US. That's my take. But it's easy. It's going to be easy, Makarand. Java developers are definitely in demand. Some companies, they will shortlist based on certification for first level in US. Prabhakaran is left, but yeah, it's a debatable topic, friends. So I'm not really getting onto that, but I would say if you are experienced, I think you can still uh, uh, definitely portray your experience better. I am a raw beginner. Which certification you suggest is better? Vinod, I think we have talked about this. Who is attend? Okay, Prabhakaran has left. Not sure whether the question to all, or is there any public forum? Udyan is asking this, forum or open source project where we can contribute with codes like GitHub. GitHub itself is, it's a strong thing, Udyan. So the other thing is, there are a lot of guys like, a lot of, if you um, um, Kaggle is there for, for data scientists and all that. They post problems. They continuously, they also keep conducting competitions and all that, right? In Kaggle. So and there are few other sites which are, Kaggle is probably the most sought after for data scientists. So if someone who has solved a problem and all that, right? So in Kaggle, they are in top demand as well. And And my other suggestion, Udayan, if you can go into the, you know, the Stack Overflow and all that, right? Because there people are also rated there, right? So if you're constantly contributing to some of the questions that are being asked there, right? It need not be the source code, but if you're trying to address a problem, you know, someone who is, they are ranked and they are rated there. Someone who is very popular there, right? They are also in, so that's a good place to be as well. How will be the career path as Hadoop? Okay, I think I've answered this. Any tips and tricks? I think Syed Ali. Moving from mainframe to we have completed training. If I want to postpone certification, also is administration side easier to find job? And nothing like this is easy versus that is, it all depends what kind of jobs you're looking for. All these flavors of jobs are there with most of the companies, so it's these things are going to be continuously, Syed, it depends, if you're focused on administration in mainframe also, it's easier for you to get into administration here as well. Of course, you need to gain some, you need to uh, definitely learn the things here connected with Hadoop and all that, but it's possible. How different is to work standalone distributed installation? How can I practice on distributed cluster? Yashpal is asking. Of course, Yashpal, you can definitely do Hadoop. You can do Hadoop, and you can set up your own cluster. I mean, it's everything installation guide is there. You can very well do that, but it depends, how you. It is like, you can set up the cluster, and there are, you can easily set up the cluster and start working. No big deal. How can I practice on distributed cluster? I mean, you should set up at least one server and one node, master and slave and all that. That's possible, Yashpal. So just like your typical, whatever that was running in single node, right? It should run here as well. Can you share some important Hadoop interview questions? So Udayan, I think I shared this in some way or other, right? So a lot of questions are there. Scenario based, as I said, right? So that's going to be the people will predominantly look for such things. I have been .NET C Sharp. My Hadoop course is still going on. My 11 year of .NET will count. Which part of Hadoop should I concentrate? So as I said, the .NET will also be, you can do .NET implementation for many things. Uh, you know, with if you're writing a service oriented architecture, right, it doesn't matter which one. You can do a REST implementation using .NET as well, if I'm right. I think that's possible. So you can definitely use this experience for sure. What is the time duration to complete a real-time project? The Edureka project was a small project, didn't take much time. This is from Jacob Grishma. Is a real-time project just like a uh, you know, it is a very subjective question, right, Grishma? So, Edureka project. See, I keep telling the learners towards the, when they come to the project, I generally tell them that, don't take up a project which is more than, 3-4 weeks, which should take more than that, because you may get discouraged at some point, because you'll be busy. You all come to learn, and after some time, right? Because it's like people come to learn and they're motivated by the fact that they are part of a group and all that. After that, the group kind of it just goes off, and you are all by yourself, right? So you may find it very difficult if you take a project that takes 3 to 6 months and all that, right? So you can, so that's 3 to 4 weeks is the project which you've done, which can be small, but if it solves a specific problem, it is still an effective project, right? It is, projects are not like, uh, it is not decided by the number of months you put in and all that, right? The quality of the solution, whatever you're going to come up with, right, that really matters compared to the, if I've run 20 months of project without getting any direction, right? So that really matters. So if you can still, and sometimes the project duration can take you months. If it is a very large size project, that is possible too, right? So but if you can really bring that flavor, right, what was your contribution and how did you come up with the solution, how did you conceive the solution, how did you go about implementing the solutions, such things really matter, Grishma. Uh, Hope I'm making sense here. I'm not sure. Hello, I worked 8 years. Prashant, mainframe, how to move into Hadoop tips. I think Prashant, I've answered this enough. Are the use cases covered in Edureka course enough to crack interviews, or do we need to use some other use cases? Um, this is from Mahesh. So I think Edureka course gives you a fair bit of depth, I would say, with respect to architecture, with respect to the course content itself. I think you can with just the course content and with little bit of reading here and there, you can crack the certification for sure. And for you to crack the interview, it is again it's nobody promises that you do the course, you are in the job. Not even some top notch big schools can give you that word of assurance, right? It depends on the individual. So somebody who is uh, you know uh, because Edureka course, I would say that it has the essential ingredients for you to uh, you know gain the fundamentals. And that is, if you can bring out that whatever learning which you've picked up, right, that is good enough for you to definitely address the interviews, in my opinion. Do I need to do certification if I have 2 years experience? um, Certification, I think it's when somebody is honking just outside my, sorry. So this is again, I'm not against certification, friends. Please don't get me wrong here. But with some experience, it is not a mandatory stuff. But if you are if somebody is wanting to do certification, I think you should go for it. But 2 years of experience, yeah, it still can, that's not, you have some experience, but it is good to do certification as well. I completed Hadoop admin course in Edureka. Ajay is saying, okay, that's fine. Gunasekaran says, I'm working as a BA, worked in mainframe. I would like to know which role will be suitable for data scientist role or Hadoop development. So friends, I think my window is just half. I think I'm seeing like at least uh, lots and lots of questions. So friends, what I will do, because I've come in the same order as I've seen those questions, right? So every question is important. So I don't want to, disregard any question here. But at the same time, in the interest of time, so I'm still left with another 6 or 7 minutes here, right? What I will do, I will keep answering till 10 o'clock or so, right? Then whatever things that has not been answered, right? Your questions anyway, we will try to, I'll talk to Edureka and see whether it can be answered in a different way, right? Are you okay, friends? I hope it is all right. I'm sorry if, this is what I can think of. Coming back to Gunashekar's question, BA for 1 year. I've also worked on mainframe for 7 years. I would like to know which role will be suitable. Data scientist role, or so data scientist role, Gunashekhar, you need to have a very strong aptitude in statistics and math, and also you need to have a decent grasp of all the big data architecture and all that, right? So if you have that kind of background, then you can look into the data scientist job, because your data scientist job, they need, their job is to optimize the algorithms and all that. So they need to have a decent grip on all these areas, otherwise it's not going to fly, right? And Hadoop development, again, you worked as a business analyst, again, for BA, for mainframe. So again, it depends, right? Hadoop development is, again, you need to pick up the Hadoop architecture. You need to know some of the tools for the development. If you're familiar with such things, maybe yes. But to me, you need to first learn the skill set that are needed for these jobs, right? So if you have worked as a business analyst, I would say, you should probably continue in that front, because business analyst is going to, they are going to play a very dominant role as the data is going to, because more and more data is expected. If you're working as a business analyst, I would say you should stick to that, because this job is anyway going to gain more and more prominence here. I am a storage administrator planning to move to Hadoop, join Hadoop administrator course. At Edureka, this is from Vishal. How does this course help someone from storage background? What are the skills I need to improve? Whew, that's mm, I don't know much about storage, Vishal. Sorry about that, but uh, you've been an administrator. There should be some connect. Administrators. There's a lot of commonality between let's say Hadoop administrator and DB administrator and all that. So uh, there's a lot of commonality. The way they handle things. A lot of monitoring and all that. So from the storage, because I can't comment on the storage because I don't know much. You would have done the raid and all those things, right? So Hadoop also, uh, you know, uh, from the administrator perspective, I can say, there should be, this is to me, this is a natural choice. I think you are in the right track is all I can say. But what are the skills I need to improve? I think you just need to probably pick up how the Hadoop works and all that, right? How the overall how you do the you should pick up the skills that requires to be a good Hadoop administrator. Because you've been an administrator, that experience will certainly come in handy is all I'm thinking. Can I get some tips to crack interview? Good materials, document to go over. Uh, this is from Irana. I think crack interview. I think we have spoken enough on this, but I would say that there are Hadoop definitive guide is there, so that speaks lot of concepts, speaks about a lot of concepts quite clearly. So you can probably skim through that. Plus, there are some interview questions. I think it is there in the web also, friends. You can just take a look. Lots and lots of documents are there, free PDFs and all those things. You can just skim through that, right? So this is a book I would say, because this is very very focused, and there's no big stories there. They keep moving. It's clearly documented. Hadoop definitive guide. So that book is quite good. And besides this, lots and lots of documents are there floating around in the if you can just Google it, you can get a wealth of information. 6 months of experience. This is from Satya in Hadoop and Spark. This is troubling me. Uh, Troubling, unfortunate. Okay, all right. So I don't know what is troubling here, Satya, but I think you just need to gain some more experience in this. So you should continue to do whatever you're doing, and I think maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, uh, I think you will have a decent experience to really, you know, to explore for other opportunities. Unfortunately, I have to leave. I'm really liking the session. Please let me know if the recorder. Okay, Paramjit is saying, Paramjit, I think this session piece should be available, hopefully. Yes, I think Paramjit had left long ago, hopefully. Is getting into a new project, doing some certification would help me, Satya. This is, would doing certification, yes, Satya, it would help. It depends on how much of experience you've gained and all that. It will help you for sure. If a person has good overall understanding knowledge of Hadoop ecosystem, having, this is from Santosh Vaidyanathan, having background of Oracle, Netezza, DBA, can become a Hadoop architect. What is the exact role of a Hadoop architect? So Hadoop architect, it is a very diversified role, Santosh. So someone should be having a very strong, it again depends companies to companies. Some companies, they're very frugal. They're looking at architects, they also want them to code in a very extensive way. Some companies, or some very big, large size companies, they may not really insist on that. So the first thing I would say, is one needs to be thoroughly hands-on here. Otherwise, it's not going to fly, right? You need to be hands-on. You need to have a fair grasp of all the technologies, including, how, uh, you know, how you like. For example, some companies may have a very distinct need of processing messages and all this stuff, right? So they may insist on Kafka, for example. I'm just throwing a technology here. So some companies have a specific need, but broadly I would say Hadoop architect, they need to have a very good, decent knowledge on Hadoop. right? Architecture, they should have coded a lot of programs, especially the MapReduce programs and all that, and distributed computing, come up with some algorithms and all that. That is one thing, and they have a good programming, good experience on programming overall. Their software engineering practices, they are well aware of all those things, right? Hadoop architect. So they need to know all these things and many of the ecosystem tools for them to even guide the team, right? Even if they are going to play the role of an architect, they should be guiding the team and all that, right? So where can I drop my questions if I have any? So friends, I think I'll take maybe one or two questions from here. I'm still, the window is pretty, the scroll window is like, I still have a lot of questions, so I may not really have time, friends. This is a 2-hour session. So I have almost come to the end of it. Where can I drop the question? Paramjit is saying. So I think you can drop the questions. I'm just saying to everybody here, you can drop the questions to Edureka, right? Edureka is, just drop it to them. And friends, one thing, before I wind up, I'll probably answer one or two questions here and then I'll wind up. So it was great to have you here. Many questions, I'm just, from my experience, I spoke, but I would want you to, um, you know do some more research on things. I don't, I'm not saying you should take it with a pinch of salt. At the same time, you should do your own diligence here, right? So I have, from my experience, I've spoken so far, so hope it was useful. And I request everybody to complete the survey with before you leave this webinar. So let me concentrate on two more questions here before I wind up here, friends. I have 1 year experience in ETL and performance testing. I wish to move into Hadoop development. I am comfortable with the Java sequels. What are my chances? Quite high, Naveen Kumar, right? So you're already familiar with the ETL, performance testing. So that's, and you're comfortable with Java SQL. I think your chances are quite high. I would say, please definitely look into that. Learn Hadoop, learn Hadoop, and because you have the you have good knowledge in Java, so that's going to be interesting for you. You mentioned you're doing product consulting. Do you mean freelancing? If yes, what are the chances to get as a tagged as a freelance? I'm not a freelancer exactly, but I do product consulting for certain companies. So yeah, um, but get tagged as a freelancer while keeping our day job. So this person has left. This is from Srinivas, but I would say a lot of guys are doing freelancing, and they all have a top demand as well, right? Somebody who's good, right? It all depends. Somebody who's good, definitely they stand a great chance, whether freelancing or and some people do, some people, they do it as for their survival, for their living also, full time, right? Some people, they want to do keep the day job and also do freelancing during the maybe the weekends and all that. So I would say that it purely depends what you want to do. Could you? Okay, I think friends, I have like another 7, 8, 20, 20, 12, 14. Okay, somebody has answered Ambari, which I wanted, the project management tool, right? Thanks so much, Manohar. I think, friends, I have like another some 30, 40 questions here, right? There's no way I think it'll, even through the midnight also, I'll not be able to do with this. So thanks um, for your patience and listening here. Um, And friends, I wish you good luck into the big data endeavor. And we will, as I promised earlier, please put up these questions, to send it to Edureka if the question was not answered. So please, we will try to see how we can answer your questions offline as well. So I'm not, I don't know how it's going to work from here. So, but definitely, Edureka will have something to, help you here, right? So hope you enjoyed this session, friends. So sorry I couldn't answer all the questions, but I hope you found the session somewhat useful. I'm hoping for that. So please provide your feedback when you leave this session. And thanks for joining, and thanks for this. Thanks for the time, and I really enjoyed talking to you, and it was very insightful, friends. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.